LeBron, he is the image of the NBA.
For better or worse.
For better or worse. And
he's the new Jerry West logo. The actual image.
Don't
They're
you
going
say
to put
that.
him on there.
Jumpman won't send you anything.
Yeah.
Caitlin Clark is the image.
I'm just looking for him to send me something
the silhouette of the WNBA. And we know how WNBA players feel about Caitlin Clark. They don't want her to be the silhouette of the league. The silhouette right now of college basketball is Cooper Flagg, Jack. And he is going to be the player that everyone's going to gravitate to because of how he plays, how clutch he is. I mean, we saw it again last night. And, the fact that he's not bringing the BS with him, at least to our knowledge. We don't see it at the college level. And he's excellent at what he does. He could be the next player that ascends to the level of when LeBron's retired, who's stepping up. Curry's, 36 years old. We've talked about the older generation of current players right now in the league. Who's the up-and-coming player that's going to take it? Felt like it could be Ja Morant. Then he had his legal issues. He had his problems off the court. And that went by the wayside. He was about to be one of the first. Who was it that was going to sponsor him for the first time in over a decade or two? And they had a deal in place and then pulled it because of everything that was going on with Ja Morant. Saying all that, it will be Cooper Flagg. But Chad, will the NBA, will they want to receive Cooper Flagg in any way different than the way that we've seen Caitlin Clark received by the WNBA?
Ja Morant lost a Powerade sponsorship, is what I can see.
And there's a big sneaker deal, too.
Look, I'll say what Kendrick Perkins was unwilling to come out and say. Another big part of this is that Cooper Flagg is a white American, and he could be the next NBA star. And that's something that the NBA really currently doesn't have. A lot of European players that are starring in the league, but not a lot of white American players
the American star, yeah,
that are stars. Caitlin Clark, I'll say it till I'm blue in the face. It's not all about race, but it's got something to do with race. The fact that she rose WNBA ratings the way that she did, it absolutely does. And if you say that it doesn't, you're fooling yourself. Cooper Flagg being a white American basketball player, possibly going to the NBA, and not changing the game, but becoming a big superstar is going to be a big part of it, whether it's spoken or not. I'm really enjoying Celtic City on HBO Max right now. The Bill Simmons Ringer production docuseries about the Boston Celtics over the years. Episode 4 is titled The Great Hope, period. And it's a play on Larry Bird and how he was the great white hope of the NBA. History lesson. In the late 70s, the NBA and a lot of what people would say were forward-thinking journalists of the time wrote extensively about how the league had, quote, unquote, and it's not me saying it, this is what they said, had become too black in the 70s. And that white paying customers would not go watch the NBA because they had a huge problem in the late 70s. Enter Larry Bird to Boston, enter Magic Johnson to LA. They transformed the NBA in the 80s. They hand the torch off to Michael Jordan. The rest is history. Since Jordan left, the league has steadily gone downhill since then. So could a Cooper Flagg-like figure in the right place stir some of those similar interests and emotions? Absolutely. I also think that he needs a rival. I think Larry Bird is not Larry Bird without Magic Johnson, and Magic Johnson is not Magic Johnson without Larry Bird. And the fact they came into the league at the same time.
And hey, let's say Caitlin Clark and Angel Reese.
Yep.
Without Angel
Big
Reese,
part of it.
It's a bland record. She's on pace. It's not bland from the record she's going to set, but the drama involved in that with LSU, Iowa, all that, it's not the same pitch and tenor to it. And that plays a huge factor. You're right.
And also, let me say, I don't think Cooper Flagg wants any of this. I don't think Caitlin Clark ever wanted any of this. She doesn't want to be known as a white basketball star. She wants to be known as a basketball star and a basketball player. She wants to be a good teammate. She is a good teammate. She's a great competitor. She doesn't want an entire race to attach themselves to or anything like that. You know who else was like that? Larry Bird, who has said it throughout his life. He does not care. Larry Bird got excellent at basketball, and he has said this a lot. Anything you read about Larry Bird, because the black kids and older black players would let him play pickup games. He would leave school and go play these players who he said were better than all the white kids in French Lick, Indiana. And it made him better because he was playing older players growing up. Larry Bird's got no problem with people of different race. He didn't want to be the great white hope. He wanted to go dominate on the basketball court. And that's exactly what he did. I don't think Cooper Flagg wants that. I know Caitlin Clark didn't want that. But it is going to be a factor because, once again, Cooper Flagg is entering a league that we just heard Kendrick Perkins and Stephen A. Smith talk about it. Very protected. Very protected in how it's covered, how it's viewed, how I don't think it particularly is interested in people on the outside of the NBA getting into the NBA. Adam Silver's interested in it. I don't know that the players are, per se. So I think there's some similarities with Larry Bird in 1980 and possibly Cooper Flagg next year.
I think the web that's trying to be made here is that the fans care about race, and that's not true. Did we care whenever we were watching Michael Jordan? No. Steph Curry and the Warriors? I mean, let's just keep going through. There are plenty of examples of NBA Finals and classic moments where we gravitate towards that moment. This is about the star power of LeBron James. We discuss him. We talk. I mean, but by and large, it's a turn off with the remote type deal, or it's check in on the score, or it's final 3 minutes. That's what the league's turned into. And with that perception, it's an afterthought, not something that you've got to get home for immediately and watch live. You know, like it's more to me about that than it is, well, Caitlin Clark is white, so I'm going to automatically jump on. And the other part of it, it's where the sports are on the timeline of their trajectory. And women's college basketball, have we talked about that since she's out of the women college? No. I mean, honestly, like
Juju Watkins got hurt, and that's what we talked about.
But not about anything relevant to women's college basketball, other than the fact that USC's up against it. It took us until the Sweet 16 to discuss it. So it's the star power of the individual, and whether or not you like said individual. It's the classic WWE babyface versus heel, and you've got to. There is always the villain in the league, but it's the star power of the person that is the face of the league that everyone. And if LeBron's that guy, it's not going to be something that everybody's going to want to be interested in when you have other options. In the day of more options, it's turned into other sports. With the same stars in the league right now that were there for the Warriors championship run, where they had good numbers, we're still not as interested and locked in towards the end of their careers, where they're still playing very well. Considering, I mean, LeBron is putting up numbers that he shouldn't be doing at his age.
Yeah,
and we should be locked in more on all that than a feud with Stephen A. and how the league is covered. But that's why the league has taken such a step down in the eyes of the average sports fan. Without a dog in the fight here, in a non-NBA market, it's just not that compelling.
Yeah, and I think there's something to be said about it being different and finding something different. Bird, Magic, and then going into Jordan. Jordan transcended all race, everything, and was just the biggest star on the planet. And I was a huge Michael Jordan guy growing up for that reason. LeBron James had some of that early on, too, caught some of that lightning in a bottle.
Yes.
I don't think these things were all about race, certainly. Tiger Woods, I would say, was only to the extent that all of white America attached to Tiger Woods, too, because it was different. Tiger Woods was different. He talked trash. He fist pumped. He looked different than other golfers before. He was different, and everybody attached to it, of all races, attached themselves to Tiger Woods. It's the reason a lot of people watch golf to this day or play is a direct result of Tiger Woods and his popularity. So,
and Chad, let me pick up there because there's one branch on that. It doesn't matter if they go through their trial and tribulation. Look, how much are we talking about Jordan on the flu game and what it was actually about, or Jordan and his dad and what happened there, with the death. Those type things are protected by the fans, really. We don't lock in Tiger with all of the off the course issues. He's never really lost that pool. Everyone wants to see the next major for Tiger Woods. LeBron, No, LeBron is he's not likable in that same way. You know, like that.
Yeah, we
there's a
protect
factor.
our heroes.
Yes, there's a factor in that LeBron is. He had. I mean, coming out of high school and then he had that, and now he's demanding it on the simple things like Bronny. Again, you're right about the villain aspect, and then LeBron's he went villain when he went to Miami. That's really when it turned. But he came back to Cleveland. How popular was he across the league then?
Yeah, he became a hero again. But tying it back to Cooper Flagg.
Yeah, yes.
He's different. He's different. He's different because he's a white American superstar player that dunks on everybody. So I do think that's going to help him. Again, do I think everybody in America is suddenly going to be a Cooper Flagg fan? Every white American is going to root for him because he's white? No. But I do think that the difference helps him. I think Caitlin Clark being different changed the game a bit.
But I
think that difference will help him.
But Caitlin Clark had it already at Iowa. Like Flagg's
she also
got
had
it
4 years, and Flagg's going to have one.
But,
so she really built up a huge audience in college over those 4 years.
But Flagg he's a household name if college basketball is relevant to you in your day-to-day life, you know him, right? But and at Duke and all that, but it's still not the same fever pitch. At least going into this Final Four. You're right about 4 years but we really picked up on Caitlin Clark in going into year 3. With the record. It was about the record, and have you seen this girl who could just shoot the lights out and how far back beyond the arc she's shooting and what it turned into? The villain, though, you mentioned you got to have the bad guy, even though Angel Reese doesn't want to be the villain on every day. Some days she's okay with it, apparently. It's going to end up being the NBA players, is it not? It'll be like the league and then Flagg.
Yeah, I think it's going to be a similar reception to what Caitlin Clark got from WNBA
and then
players.
There's your bad guy.
It's going to be a lot of people saying, I don't like how this guy's covered. I think he's getting a lot of benefits because he's white, and that's the way they treated Caitlin Clark. And not that they hate the person, but they're going to go after that image. And I think that's what the league did to Caitlin Clark with all the flagrant fouls and everything else. I think Cooper Flagg's going to get he's going to get a similar reception in the league, and it's going to have nothing to do with Cooper Flagg or something he's done. But I think it's going to be a similar response. Here's the other thing that hurts Cooper Flagg in the NBA. Maybe they work out the ping pong balls of the lottery in their favor, but right now he's going to be either a Washington Wizard, a Utah Jazz, a Charlotte Hornet,
no Jazz,
or a New Orleans Pelican. That is not going to move the needle for anybody early on when he goes to one of those teams.
No, agreed.
Now, if he goes to Brooklyn, who's got a chance, in a big city, maybe. But that's the tough part of all this is, and again, I keep going back to Bird Magic, but I mean, it was Boston, championship title town, and LA. The two preeminent franchises landed the two biggest stars in the sport to go head-to-head against each other. It was perfection.
I don't think the reception is far different, but how it's perceived will be different for Flagg. Because, Bill Laimbeer would take things out on all kinds of rookies back in the day. And we're used to seeing guys hit the deck. We weren't paying attention to watching WNBA and seeing that.
Yeah.
So, the retaliation factor. And also, Flagg's not coming into a league that needs charter planes and five-star hotels. He's coming into a league that's already coddled to the max.
They don't need any more money.
So it's not like Flagg is providing it and getting all the credit for it, which is the jealousy factor that we see in the W. Here's Dick Vitale, who, by the way, was on with Dan Dockich. Dickie V discussing Cooper Flagg.
I think Cooper Flagg is the best freshman I've ever seen. Boeheim said the same thing. Where are you at with Duke? Where are you at with Flagg?
Well, let me tell you about Cooper Flagg. I said this on the air in my first game. Some people criticized me for it, but, it's how I felt. I said in my 45 years at ESPN, I've been to see many, many kids play. And I said, I would put him right there. There's three that stood out to me I watched. I did the game with LeBron when he played in high school. I did the game with Kobe when he played in high school. And Magic, I didn't do a game, but I saw him so many times I was trying to recruit him. I had no chance. But I said on the air, he is absolutely with them as a 17, 18-year-old.
That's a great guess for Dan. That's a cool chat that you can see right now at OutKick.com.